Welcome to the Takarazuka fan podcast, where fans from all over the world get together and talk about Takarazuka. We have 3 people with us today, and we are going to talk about Kurenai Yuzuru and Kisaki Airi, who are retiring next week already. Time's going so fast. But anyway, I am Carly in New York.
This is Julie in Arizona.
And Jenn in Arizona.
And we're going to start off as we always do with our happy things. Julie, you want to go first?
Sure. I just tweeted about this this morning, but I woke up to a Line notification because Ran no Hana has had a Line blog, and she hasn't really done like other social media, but she announced that she now has an official Twitter and an Instagram account. So rather than having to go to Line specifically to see her blog, I can get Twitter and Instagram notifications.
Yay.
Yay, I saw that too.
Yeah.
We'll post a link to that on the blog.
Mm-hmm. I put the links in her wiki profile as well.
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that she was restricted from her past, agency or something like that. I guess that restriction is no longer valid.
I never would have occurred to me. Yeah, I had no idea.
But regardless, very happy to see her on social media.
Yeah.
Jenn, what's your happy thing?
My happy thing is Hoshigumi related, actually, because Ai-chan, Aizuki Hikaru, who's my favorite actress, she is becoming a Hoshigumi Nibante, presumably the Hoshigumi Nibante, right after Benny and Airi retire on November 1st. And so I was, conflicted when she was transferred to Senka because I wasn't sure when I was going to, how many shows she would be in a year and how often I would see pictures of her and stuff. But now she's going to be a member of Hoshigumi, so she'll be in regular shows and get good roles and be with Koto and Miki and people that I really like, and so I'm really excited about that.
Yay, I'm excited too. I'm really happy she's going to be in a regular troupe.
Yeah.
It was a very quick stint in Senka.
Yeah. I made a joke to friends a few weeks ago that was like, a few years from now we'll be talking and we'll be like, remember that 6 months that Ai-chan was in Senka? Does anyone remember that?
Right. Probably no one will remember that.
What is it, one tour and Parise?
Yeah.
That's literally
That's it. 2 shows. Yeah.
I mean, excuse me. They've done special appearances where someone wasn't officially transferred to a troupe, they just did a special appearance in another troupe, like when Tani appeared in Hoshigumi to do Singing in the Rain, the original one.
Yeah.
They could have just done that, literally. They could have just had her have a special appearance. But I think, I was talking about this with Jenn, probably the reason they didn't just officially transfer her to Hoshigumi in the first place was because they didn't have a place for her in God of Stars. And if she was an official Hoshigumi member right after the other tour, then they would have had to put her in God of Stars. And I think that's the reason.
Also,
same with Ocean's 11, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I got the sense, we talked with someone that sort of is Ai-chan adjacent, Sakiko, and I sort of get the sense that this was not all, planned out.
Yeah.
According to...
I don't know about anything this year being all
right?
Because it sort of feels like they wanted her out of the way before Ocean's 11, so they put her in Senka, and then at the last minute they were like, oh, we need another, body in Hoshigumi. Guess who's available? And, it sort of seems to me that they probably didn't think it through.
With both Hoshigumi and Hanagumi, it's like they've been pushing the Nibantes so hard to get them ready to be top stars. They didn't really plan for the part where those top stars will also need Nibantes. Whoop, what do we do now?
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Yeah. But anyway, that's my happy thing is that...
Oh, sorry, we got derailed.
No, it's okay. That Ai-chan is going to be in Hoshigumi. She, I haven't seen the show she did with Koto yet. I forgot what it's called all of a sudden.
Man from Algiers.
The Man from Algiers. I haven't seen that yet, but according to everything I've heard from other people, they had good chemistry and it was, really good. And so I'm pleased that she will be in a troupe and with a top star that, she jives with and everything.
Yeah. Man from Algiers is a good show to watch if you're upset that you didn't get to see her Bernardo.
Yes, that's what I heard. It was just sort of like a retake of Bernardo.
Yeah, but it was good. I liked that show a lot.
Good.
My happy thing is today is my pride and joy Kazuki Sora's birthday.
Yay!
Yay! And she's in rehearsal, and hopefully they haven't hit the like real rough patch of rehearsal yet, and she can have a nice birthday.
Shoot, I just remembered that it was Monchi's birthday 2 days ago.
Aww.
Oh,
Yeah.
happy birthday to Monchi also.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Sora.
Yay.
Short person with a lot of punch.
Yes.
Boy, is that true.
Yeah.
Okay, so the purpose of today's show is to celebrate Benny and Airi's retirement. And I have to say that initially, neither of them were actresses I was ever very interested in. But over the course of their top star run, I've come to love them a lot.
Yeah,
and
I feel
I'm pretty
that.
sad that they're leaving.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I feel like Benny's is really like a underdog story, kind of, because
Yeah.
she, like Komu never got an official Shinko lead. She had the weird special lead thing. Benny, her last chance for a Shinko was the Shinko lead, the only Shinko lead that she ever got. And those kinds of last chance Shinko leads usually don't lead to someone becoming a top star. So, and then like they put Kaname in Hoshigumi to be Chia's Nibante, and like it didn't really seem like Benny was, gonna make it, basically. And
Yeah.
things got rearranged.
Especially when
and
they snuck Michan in there, too.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
when you would have thought she finally fought her way up to Nibante, and then, still. But
Well-
she hung on and she got it.
Yeah, I'm sure it was just like they needed a little more time, she needed a little bit more
Yeah.
time, or just like the long and celebrated history of Hankyu plopping in a short-term top to kind of like ease the tension or whatever from a really long-running top like Chia or WoW or
Yeah.
Osa or whatever.
That's
Yeah.
a good point also. But yeah, she is kind of an underdog, and I was a little like, aside from Scarlet Pimpernel, which, like you said, was her one Shinko lead, and I think is a show that is both very popular in Takarazuka and means a lot to her personally. I was puzzled by some of the choices that they started out her top run with.
Yeah.
But about halfway through, it got really strong, and I've really loved a lot of the Hoshigumi shows that have run while she's been top star. But before we get to that, let's talk about some of our earlier memories of her. We'll start with Benny. Julie, when did you first notice Benny?
It actually would have been the Pimpernel Shinko. I had seen her in Hoshigumi in other things. I knew of her, but the footage of her just bawling during her Shinko speech is the thing I remember very strongly of an early memory of Benny. Technically, before that, I saw her on stage as Alexei in Anna Karenina, but the Shinko is what I remember. Because she was just so overcome, and
yeah.
It really...
She's
yeah, go ahead.
She's very emotional.
Yeah.
I'm always kind of surprised by how emotional she is, because she plays this very kind of outrageous character. I don't know how else to put it. I'm sure that's also very much in a way her actual personality, but having that kind of side and also a very soft emotional side, I think is very charming.
Yeah, for real. Just a couple of quick shout outs. The other probably next big thing I remember her from is Mercutio in the original Romeo and Juliet. And then her very weird Bow Hall show, Mei-chan's Butler.
Oh,
Which
I have opinions about that show.
We don't have to go into in detail. We have opinions.
That was a weird show.
Yeah.
I actually haven't seen it.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
My recurring opinion about that show is it was the most unexpected story. I thought it was going to be about, a quirky girl and her butler and the whole, fighting with swords and
Yeah.
having...
It kind of has this weird revolutionary girl Utena thing where, like, people are sword fighting all the time and dressing up in fancy costumes and, like, you're fighting and you transfer ownership of your butler when your butler defeat... it's so weird. Like...
That's not what I expected either. It's based on a manga, right?
It is, and me and my friends watched the J-drama when I was living in Japan. So I had already gotten a good idea of what the show was about, but the J-drama did not take itself seriously. It was very campy. And I felt like, Takarazuka to some degree tries to be like, oh look, I'm a handsome butler.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing that Jen always says is, for a show about butlers, I did not expect for there to be so much sword fighting.
Yeah. And it had a really, I don't want to spoil for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it had a really bizarre ending and a weird twist at the last minute. And we watched that, the reason we watched that show when we did was because I had fallen in love with Fuchan. And I was like, let's watch all the Fuchan things. And she just had a very small part in that. But
honestly, her character was the most interesting.
Yeah, her little side character and her butler. I could have watched a whole show about that rather than this weird, sword fighting butler competition deal.
Anyway,
well, despite the weirdness, it sounds like the kind of thing that might be intriguing to a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and I would recommend that you watch it at some point.
Yeah,
because it is interesting. It's
if
not
you like
terrible.
the manga or the drama, probably like it. Jen, what other early memories of Benny?
Well, I haven't been a Takarazuka fan that long, only a couple years. But looking at her history, I have to say, when we watched Deflator Mouse and the Entertainer, that was my biggest Benny introduction. It was pretty early on in my fandom that we watched that, and Michan and Benny had an amazing comedy chemistry together, and the whole like pretending that whole trope of pretending to be the rich butler when you're actually the poor guy, and it she did that. Everybody knows comedy is her forte. And then we watched the Raku version of Entertainer. And I was obsessed with that review for months. I watched it like every, couple days, and I listened to the music nonstop. And there's like a little skit in there where like Michan, who's the top star at the time, goes to like an audition, and she meets with, a singing coach and a dancing coach. And then Benny is the acting coach, and she comes out with this, like, chameleon character, and it's like a genderless, flamboyant person who is, like, trying to teach her how to be a good actor. And it is hilarious. And it
is really funny.
Yeah. Carly, have you seen the Raku version?
I think so.
I
must have.
Only version I like watching. Not.
Oh, is that the one where it goes, like, the ad-libs go on for, like, 45 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And, Michan doing her, her ad-libs and stuff, and Benny just standing there like, yes, okay.
Michan goes on this long diatribe because she's dressed as an old man from her Ocean's 11 thing. She goes on this
and it's Father's Day, right?
Yeah, she goes on this long diatribe
yes.
about how it's Father's Day, and her wife and kids didn't come to celebrate Father's Day with her. They went off to go see Takarazuka. And she said they were fans of Masako or something, right?
Yeah.
Because Masako was retiring. And like, like Jen said, Benny's just like, And like, but like Benny's whole shtick there, where she's like this, like Jen said, sort of like an effeminate, flamboyant, gender ambiguous person, is just the best. It's like literally, it's not a character, but it's one of my favorite Benny characters of all time.
And after I saw that and became obsessed with that review, I was a Benny fan for life. I was just into her, and so that was a very positive first impression I had of her.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw her live.
Oh, nice. Lucky.
Weirdly, like, of all of the times that I went to Japan before that, and of the endless years that Chie was top star, for some reason I just never lined up with Hoshigumi, and I never saw them live until Komori and the Entertainer.
Nice.
And my deepest impression from that show probably was like Benny and Michan's chemistry in like a comedic show was unreal, but like Benny's stage presence was incredible. Like I specifically remember thinking that if like I wasn't into Takarazuka and I didn't know who these people were, I would not know which one was the top star. Like, just because they were both so good, and because of the nature of that show, like both of those roles are pretty like equally weighted. The only difference is Michan's character gets the girl, basically.
And Benny just has this, when she does like little ad libs or song bits in reviews and stuff, she just seems like she has this larger than life charisma and personality that is just so my thing. Like I every time I see her in Estrellas or Killer Rouge or Entertainer, any of those, I'm just like, oh, she's so fun. Like she
has so much fun.
Yeah. It just seems like being in a Benny era troupe, like, or Benny era show with her, like, they all seem like they're always having such a great time.
Yeah. I agree. I think my earliest memory of her, the first show I ever watched all the way through was the 2010 Romeo and Juliet, where she was Mercutio. So like her Mercutio was like so crazy. So my first impression of her is like, oh yeah, okay, so she's the crazy one. And then very short at that time, like I had at the very beginning of my Takarazuka fandom, I was like way too shy to talk to anybody. And I caught like little bits and pieces of things on the internet before things were really on the internet. And I was like, I didn't want to ask for anything because I was afraid and all this stuff. And then like when it switched over to the Tumblr era, I felt like everybody was a Hoshigumi fan. So there was a lot of Hoshigumi stuff just floating around. And she was one of the first people I got like really acquainted with when I got like back more heavily into Takarazuka at that time. And then I watched her Brilliant Dreams with the Kurenai 5 with somebody. And I just like, I remembered that group of people better than anybody else for a long time at the beginning.
I don't know how much Kurenai 5 took off as much as Aqua 5. But they tried. They did try, and it was very entertaining. I rewatched them again sort of recently, and I had like no memory of them as it turned out. Like, but they're 5, just as funny now. Yeah, Aqua 5 had like actual concerts and CDs and stuff. But I think also Mizu was the top star already when they did Aqua 5. Right. So like Kurenai 5 was like Benny was like San or Yombante or something. She wasn't really a big star.
And it was kind of a weird timing thing. Like that was the first of the Brilliant Dreams Plus Next series, which like now if you look at them all, it kind of makes sense. Like each of them has, their own theme that whoever was the star of it wanted to go through it. But at that time, since it was the first one, we kind of had nothing else to compare them to.
Oh, I see.
And they were kind of like spinning off Aqua 5, sort of. Yeah. But yeah, I think all of them since then have followed the format of like 5 episodes of shenanigans and then a concert.
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, I highly recommend hers if you hadn't had a chance to watch it yet.
We should watch that.
Old, but they might. I wouldn't be surprised if they re-aired them because she's retiring.
Right on.
Yeah,
for sure.
So what what are some of your favorite Benny roles, or at least your top favorite?
I actually was surprised how much I liked her Scarlet Pimpernel, Percy Blakeney, because original Toko Scarlet Pimpernel is very, very dear to my heart, and I didn't think anybody would ever come close to that performance. And actually, I really liked the chemistry of Benny, Airi, and Koto. And, I felt like they sang really well when, let's be honest, they don't always sing really well. So I was really surprised. I loved it. Percy's the right kind of character for Benny, because,
she was
great. Funny, but also charismatic, has
weirdly flamboyant.
Flamboyant, absolutely. Has a flair for the dramatic and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good role for her.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure.
John, what about you?
Mine was Another World, which I also watched in a stream, and didn't totally, because I don't speak Japanese, so when I watch with Julie, she kind of paraphrases and tells me what's going on, but when I watch in a stream, unless you or someone else are there to translate, so I watched it and just sort of watched the performances without really totally understanding what was going on, and then Julie and I rewatched it maybe a month or two ago.
Yeah, it was a few months ago.
And I actually, got the story after that, and I just thought it was such a good role for her. I mean, the whole show I just loved it. I loved that show. It was lighthearted and funny, even though it takes place in the underworld. And they were making fun of themselves with the underworld Takarazuka, and her whole big booming personality came out in that performance, and over the top reactions and stuff. And I really, really, I think that's the role where I was just, after Entertainer and all that stuff, where I was just like, God, she is just such a good, so charismatic and seems like such a fun person.
Yeah, it's just nonstop shenanigans, which seems like the perfect kind of show for Benny.
Yeah. It was perfect. That was right in her wheelhouse. I love Another World so much. Yes. And I saw that live, and I went into it probably with Hoshigumi being at that time the troupe that I watched the least and knew the least about, and expected to kind of not understand it because, I just, between it being a Nihon mono and based on Rakugo, and Benny talks 10,000 miles an hour anyway, in Osaka Ben, I was like, I'm going to leave this theater and have no idea what I just watched. But it was not that hard to follow. It's so funny, and it's so good for so much of the troupe, but especially Benny. It's just a perfect role for her.
It was amazing. For sure. Yeah.
Oh man, that's definitely in my top favorites. Also, I want to we out to her whole Nibante career with Michan, honestly, which was not very long, but like we said before, she was so amazing in Komori. She was amazing in Guys and Dolls, so funny in Guys and Dolls. But I probably want to pick beside the Foggy Elve, or whatever the English title is. I always forget. And not because that's the role that I think of as something like Another World, or something that's a comedy that's oh, that's a Benny role. But when I watched it, I was so moved at so many parts by her range, and for most of the show, I mean, her character is just an asshole.
Yeah.
And she plays him really over the top like that, but there are also some really tender moments that really struck me with their sincerity, and it just made me stop and think wow, she's really a lot more multifaceted than I think a lot of the fandom gives her credit for. And she just, she puts a lot of care into her work, and it's really obvious that she loves what she does.
Yeah.
And I felt that when I was watching that show.
She does. She seems really genuine, and to genuinely, care about Airi and to care about her troupe, and she just, she just comes across as very genuine and very, very caring.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know when I'm going to have a point to work this in, so I'll say it now so I don't forget. Benny's an 88, and the 80th class is my jam. And, I feel like Makun, the other 88th top otakoyaku, also has that very genuine, very charming personality. And
definitely.
so I'll be proud of Benny forever for making it as an 88.
Yeah. Okay. Any more thoughts about Benny? Can we move on to
We should talk about Airi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Boy, I don't know if I remember the first time I ever really saw Airi, because I feel like the Chie Nene era was just so like heavily them.
Yeah.
I don't have any,
I'm like looking
extra
at her
memories
roles.
from them.
So actually, like Jen was saying, Jen had like a Fuchan boom, and we watched all the Fuchan things. So we watched South Pacific, and that's what I remember Airi from, because she plays the Islander girl, Liat, I guess is what it says on the wiki, and she doesn't talk, like, because she can't speak the same language as Makaze and everybody else. So they just like communicate through longing looks and hand gestures and things, and I was really impressed by how expressive she was without talking. And it just really struck me, when someone is just like so pretty and cute and so charming, whatever the word is, without speaking. Yeah,
absolutely. I know exactly what you mean, and I love that.
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't seen South Pacific, but
it's pretty good actually. Except for
that's what I've heard.
Like
Tom,
that's Tom, but
Tom
also
is a lot, but
it's also that weird part where like Fuchan finds out that Tom has like mixed race children, and
that was a little awkward.
Yeah, that like the 11 o'clock hour in a musical where it's like, oh, but I can't be with you because I have racist feelings, and we were like, oh, that sucks. So, but I mean, it made sense that musical was written in the 60s and it takes place in the 40s or whatever, so
right.
It completely made sense, and I'm sure the writers of the musical wanted to boost support for mixed race couples and all that kind of stuff, but like as a plot point, it was kind of like, oh, Fuchan's a racist. Not really, she gets over it and they get together anyway or whatever, but like she gets hung up about it for a little bit.
But that was a really fun show. And Airi's character in that was,
super cute.
She managed to make a character that doesn't speak, which is difficult to do in live theater, I imagine. She made it come across really. You could feel her emotions just by her facial expressions, and it was really powerful.
Yeah.
She's someone who I have to admit she's always been pushed, so I knew of her existence, but really not much about her as a performer until she became top. But after that, I was, again, like, just frequently much more impressed with her than my, like, initial opinion of her was. And specifically, I love watching her in reviews because I think...
Yeah, same.
Especially in, like, the recent era of very young top Musumeyaku, she has such a mature vibe, and she just feels very, like, in charge in a good way on stage in review scenes, and I love that.
Not that I'm bitter or anything, but Airi, like, actually became top Musumeyaku at Ken 7 or Ken 8.
Yeah, and, it kind of makes you wonder if they did that for everybody.
Yeah.
What sort of great things might happen when they've had a little more practice.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't really have, like, an earliest memory of her, per se, because sort of like you said, I didn't really notice her except in her top roles. I didn't really get a sense of her before she was top star in the shows that we saw. But like you said also, in reviews, in Killer Rouge, in Estrellas especially,
yes,
and
so
also
sexy.
we watched her dinner show.
So her salon concert, literally like a month after it was on stage or whatever, they aired it on Sky Stage. So we watched
That
it
was
already.
really quick.
Yeah, we watched it last weekend.
So we
How was
watched
that?
it.
I've been
It's
meaning
so
to, but I haven't had a
cute.
chance.
It's so cute. It's with Seochi and Shido, the one that's being transferred to Soragumi.
Mm-hmm.
And they just did all these cute little skits and Disney songs and songs from shows she was in and wanted to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, she just has a really cute personality. And it was really funny because, you know, they set aside these little talk segments in between the songs.
Oh.
And she was saying things like, I wish I was as good as Kurenai Yuzuru-san for, you know, doing small talk and stuff, but all three of them were very hopeless at
they were
small talk.
so awkward. It was really
and so she would like awkwardly tell them, you know, why don't you two go off stage and change your costumes? And they would be like, okay, and they would leave, and then she would just sort of stand there awkwardly and make small talk about, you know, the first time she saw a Takarazuka show or whatever, and it was just so cute because it was obvious that she just was not totally comfortable, you know, just like working the crowd like Benny does. And
it's true. It was so charming how not charming she was.
Yeah.
Like she just did not know how to like do the in between segments, and like Jen said, she would. You know, because it's a totally normal thing that happens in dinner shows where the dancers go off stage or whatever. But somehow they just made it so awkward. Like, I don't know how they managed to make it so awkward.
Yeah, but she wore some really cute dresses. She wore some very dangerous looking, you know, short wigs and tight clothes and sang, you know, she has a beautiful voice, and so and in Estrellas she has a couple numbers that she leads in short wigs, and just she
looks really good in short wigs.
That's really where
she really does.
where she shines.
I mean, what Musumiyaku doesn't, but
true.
Yeah. But yeah, like the salon concert, they imagined it as sort of like three friends going to a karaoke box.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they had this little intro where they were
cute.
pretending to be people pushing the buttons to like enter in a song. And what was the first song? It was a Disney song, right? Oh, Enchanted.
Yeah.
That's how you know from Enchanted. And they sang a bunch of Disney songs, like Jen said, a bunch of things she had performed, but also roles she wished she could have done. You know, like Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
They did they do Elizabeth? Practically everyone does.
Yeah, they were doing
when Watashi ga Odoru Toki. That one.
Yes.
So yeah. Kind of standard
I'm gonna
stuff.
have to watch that.
Yeah, and then like the curtain call one, the encore song was from Moana, How Far I'll Go. It's been stuck in my head for days ever since we watched it.
Yeah, she's just a sweetie. She just seems really, also like Benny, very genuine and, you know, very, very into giving her all. And I mean, most of the actresses are like that. But yeah, she just, you know, and she had a really good, albeit awkward, but really good, like, you know, conversation and chemistry with the two otakoyaku that she was performing with, and it was really cute.
Yeah, for sure.
Awkward emceeing aside, she just comes off as like very polished to me.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't, like, just watching her retire is sad. And I know part of it is that, like, I'm old and it's hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that, like, 98ths and 99ths are upperclassmen now. So, like, Maya and Sakura are not so young, but at the same time, it just feels like, like an era of, like, adult top Musumiyaku is completely leaving with Airi.
Yeah. I mean, I felt that way like 10 years ago when Mihoko and Asuka and all them, Tonami, the era of actually letting Ken 7, Ken 8 Musumiyaku become tops.
Yeah. I mean, I guess at least they're, if they're not starting them there, it seems like they're letting them hang out until they're that age, at least, for the most part. But,
for the most part.
Yeah. I like Airi a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What's my favorite Airi role is tough. I also really love her in Another World. I love how she's like, she plays this like over-exaggerated to the point of comedy, like demure maiden, but then has moments of like, oh no, I'm going to go to hell because one time I killed a snake by swinging it around and smacking it on the ground. Like,
oh my gosh. I totally forgot
it's just a really funny, like, up and down of her, like, quick changes in personality.
Yeah.
But I think I really loved her in Kamatari, which was their drama city right before this Korean show. And I saw that over the summer, and she was just like the perfect wife. It was like so perfect, it was heartbreaking. And she had a really, I think I talked about this, God, I don't remember what we talked about in that episode because it was months ago now, but we did like a quick Hoshigumi episode in April, May-ish, something like that, and I probably talked about all of this then, but
I think you did.
She had like a really sweet tied-on related line, and she was just so good in that show. And their chemistry was so good in that show.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird things that I feel like a lot of people aren't going to be interested in watching, but I like. Really
no, I definitely am interested because I love the court drama stuff. I love the costumes of that era. And, I mean, how hard is it to understand, did you feel?
The first half, I think I followed pretty well, and then I kind of lost it. There was like, I remember the issue was like they changed the plot summary on the official website at some point. And the one that was translated on the wiki was from the original plot summary, and I read it before going in to like get myself mentally ready.
Right.
And I was waiting for all this stuff to happen that didn't happen, and I was like, did I miss something? Is this really that complicated that I'm just not following?
Right.
And then I went back and like, I don't even remember why I checked the Japanese page, but I was like, this is totally different. It makes a lot more sense. And I think someone like found the cache or something, and they had totally changed it. So there must have been like a major script change like somewhere in rehearsal. But once I wrapped my head around what was actually going on and then thought back on it, I don't think it was hard to follow at all. I was just misled.
Yeah. It definitely makes sense if you go into a show with one expectation. You're waiting and waiting for that thing to happen. Yeah.
Especially because it is like a very old era of Japanese history, and the language is a little bit more difficult. So I'm more predisposed to, like, even if I think I understand something, to doubt myself if I'm expecting something else to happen. Like, I'm not going to assume that I've got the correct Japanese, you know? Like, so, but yeah, it's really not that hard to follow. Yeah. And I think the correct summary is up on the wiki now.
Nice. Have either of you guys seen Thunderbolt Fantasy?
I have.
Yes. Again, I watched it in a stream and didn't really have any idea what was going on. But the costumes are really cool, and it's cool looking, and I would like to rewatch it again with Julie so that she can tell me what's going on.
Yeah. I definitely want to see it.
I've watched bits of the original show, too. I think after I saw the Takarazuka one, just to, like, see what was up with it. It's really interesting from, like, an artistic perspective because the puppets are, like, technically amazing. But it's cool to kind of have that background and then watch the Takarazuka version because they're really, like, spot on. It's kind of scary. The costumes are amazing.
Yeah.
Considering that Jen and I both watched The Dark Crystal, which is also puppets, I'm completely down with watching Thunderbolt Fantasy. I don't think it's weird to watch a puppet drama. It sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, and it's not that long.
Yeah.
And it's on Crunchyroll.
Nice.
So,
nice.
And as far as roles for both of them, I'm really looking forward to seeing God of Stars.
Oh my god, me too.
Especially for Airi, because I've seen, bits and pieces of her with the pink hair and the modern clothes, and just, it looks so fun.
Yeah.
And I can't
wait to see it.
Yeah.
I've read the script, and it's amazing. It's just such, like, I'm so happy, especially because, like, I've been hearing so many stories from people who went to see Fairy Tail that it was kind of disappointing, and it's like, wow, okay, Mirio's been top star for 6 years, and that's kind of a letdown. I don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to judge it, but, like, I've heard a lot of that, but God of Stars seems like the most, like, perfectly lovingly written tied-on show for those two that could like possibly have happened. Like there's so many in-jokes in it. There's so many references to like the troupe and their relationship, and it's funny. It's so like silly and funny and just like a fun show, but also really warm, and I can't wait to see it. Like just the script has me like emotional about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say like probably my favorite Airi role is Marguerite from Pimpernel, but also like Jen said, I feel like a lot of what I like about her comes from seeing her charisma in reviews, you know, like her and Benny's chemistry and their dancing and all that stuff. But also, if I ever had a chance to see Catch Me If You Can, maybe that would be my favorite role. Or
right? That's what I feel about all of them, honestly.
Right? And when I see God of Stars, that will probably be my favorite Airi role. Let's be real.
That's how I feel. Yeah. Oh man, the like disappearance of the Broadway shows just like
it pains me deeply.
It pains me too. Yeah. Like thinking of the ones that I haven't seen. Thinking of the ones that I have seen is painful enough because I know how good they were, and I know they're gone forever, and then like imagining that maybe the ones I've never seen and will never see were that good is just painful.
Yeah. What we need is somebody to just break into the vault, because you know Hankyu has recordings of them.
They do.
They're just not allowed to sell them. They made recordings because they air like the Shonichi and Raku footage and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I read your review that you wrote of West Side Story, and I was just like, the world has conspired against me that I can't see this. The worst.
I'm mad at myself that I didn't do a better job. Like, I wish I had like gone scene by scene and recorded every detail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I really want to see Catch Me If You Can. The song Goodbye from Catch Me If You Can, I think is part of Benny's Sayonara Show set list. And if you look at the English lyrics, it's like, well, that's going to be painful.
Yeah. I haven't listened to any of the music of Catch Me If You Can, but I like the movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I listened to that, and it's very spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as much as I've grown to love the two of them individually over the last 3 years or so, I actually love them even more together. And that's another thing that, like, at the beginning, I was like, oh, are they going to have any chemistry? Is Benny going to ever have chemistry with anybody? Or is she just going to, you know, make everybody laugh or whatever? And, but I love them together so much. I think they're really cute. I think they have like a very different chemistry than all of the other top stars right now.
Like an old married couple. Yep.
Yeah. So
they are like an old married couple.
Just so comfortable and like loving, not like in a intense, sexy way, but in like the relationship has progressed a long time and they're just really deeply loving.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're the kind of couple that would renew their vows on like the 50th anniversary.
every 10 years or something. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You know how like Fu-chan always posts on her Instagram of like her meet time and stuff? Mm-hmm. You know that Airi's going to do that too.
Yeah.
They'll just be posting 24/7 of them together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so sweet. And you know, I was just thinking about it, like, it's a rare thing to have both a top star and a top musumeyaku who never transferred troops. Like, technically they spent their whole time both in Hoshigumi. When I thought I was just kind of like running the numbers in my head. Technically, Tamakichi and Sakura are the same. They both were always in Tsukigumi. But like, a lot of other top stars, at least one of them transferred. And a lot of times they've transferred multiple times or something. So yeah, I'll bet that contributes to like the family kind of feeling that they have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't think of it like that. Man, I remember when they transferred Maya Kiho from Hanagumi to Hoshigumi, everyone was like, oh, obviously this is to be the next top star of Hoshigumi.
Right.
And then when it came out that it was Airi, I was like, oh.
That's weird.
And I was very surprised, but it worked out so well, and I'm so happy I'm so happy that they ended up together. I'm also so happy that like Diamond and Maya ended up together.
Maya, absolutely.
They're also a wonderful partnership, but I love Benny and Airi together. I love their pair dances so much, and they're not they're not flashy. I don't think they've ever done a lift, like, because I don't know. I don't think dancing is Benny's number one strength. But they're always so, like, again, just lovingly choreographed for, like, exactly the relationship that they have. And they always throw in these cute little things, like the one in Estrellas is so cute.
I know.
And I've only seen, I think, still pictures of the God of Stars one, but it also looks, like, painfully cute.
Yeah.
Can't wait. I saw footage from the Taidan in Takarazuka City.
Oh, the Sayonara show?
Yeah. Well, no, when they were giving speeches and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And there was one time when Airi was crying and Benny, like, put her arm around and, like, touched her head and, like, patted her head. And it was just like, my emotions!
Yeah. Yeah, I think Airi said something like, I'm really glad that you were my partner or whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know.
It just, like, you could see that they genuinely care about each other, and it's just really something when that happens. Like,
I think Benny mentioned that in her, like, Taidan press conference, too, when they always ask the stupid question, like, are you going to get married? I think Benny said, like, I am married.
Oh! I didn't read her Taidan
It was
press
really cute.
I definitely need to read it.
Yeah. She said Airi's name, too. She straight up said, like, I'm married to Kisaki Airi.
And Kisaki,
very sweet.
Kisaki means, like, you know, in the sense of, like, a queen or an empress. My bride.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
My heart.
Yeah, they just are so sweet together, and they just like seem like the moms of the troupe or whatever, and you know, and they come across as just really genuinely caring about each other, and I just love that. Like Makun and Miriam also had that same you know, feeling of, like, you know, that they really, really care about each other, and just, I just love that.
Yeah, I agree.
Best.
I want to talk about Benny's tied-on wear.
Okay.
Have I seen it?
So
I'm gonna Google it.
I think they just yesterday or the day before put it on for Tokyo, because I think it's the last 10 days they all wear the tie-on
something like
wear
that
in club. But her Takarazuka tied-on wear was like a chef's outfit.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Like her whole club was in like white chef's jackets and white chef's hats as their tied-on wear every day. It was so charming, and Benny also rolled up in it every single day that her club had to wear it, and it was just I was like laughing and crying at the same time because it was like sad and sweet and hilarious and just like this is perfect. Like, what could she have done that was more perfect than this?
So
and then
funny.
I think her Tokyo one is like she had like Japanese style poncho kind of thing that was red and black for her like regular wear that I saw in the Twitter pictures over the course of the Tokyo run, and it had like writing on it. It had like her name, and it had like Hoshigumi is the best and stuff like that.
Aww.
And I think I saw a picture yesterday. It looks like it switched. It's the same thing, but it switched to like white and gold, and it says like thank you Hoshigumi on it, and it's also just really sweet. And she's been wearing it again when she goes out to meet her club.
It's so funny because I saw those pictures for days of her fan club in the chef's hats and stuff, and it completely slipped my mind until you brought it up.
Yeah.
So freaking cute.
So cute.
The first time I saw it, I thought it was like an event or something, because sometimes they do like events at Denmachi, and then they wore them again the next day, and I was like, oh my god, that's their tied-on wear. That's so funny and so sweet.
Now I'm looking at all these tied-on pictures on my phone while we're talking.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And honestly, okay, I know this is like the Benny Airi tied-on episode, but Kisaragi Ren and Naoyuki...
I was just looking at a picture of her, and she has like wings or something.
She had angel wings on in Takarazuka, and I've like the past it's only been like the past week or two that I've noticed, and it's making me wonder what's going on the days that the photographers aren't there. But every day, Renta shows up in another T-shirt of somebody in the troupe.
Another person in the troupe.
Oh, that's
it's
so
and I
cute.
like want to die. It's so cute.
Yeah, I think
she had.
That she had those shirts commissioned or something. Right? I mean, that's amazing.
I think she sits home making shirts.
Literally.
I could be making this up, so don't like just believe me because I have said this, but I feel like I have a memory of either some like, I don't know if I read it in Graph or Kageki or if it was like part of the MC segment at somebody's dinner show, but I feel like somebody said that she like always makes t-shirts.
Aww.
And again, I could be just like
completely
delusional.
Yeah.
I believe it.
But yeah, she has two separate Shirotei Natsu shirts. One of them says like Shirotei Natsu, the strongest in the world.
Yes, that's the one.
And the other is a pair shirt of the two of them making a heart shape with their arms, and when they stand next to each other, the heart is complete.
Oh,
I can't. Renta, I have a lot of feelings.
Yeah,
really
Renta's very sweet.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
She's so cute.
She does seem extremely sweet,
Yeah.
and I'm also sad that she's leaving.
Yeah.
No, I'm sad.
It shouldn't end on this.
We made ourselves sad.
No, we were watching, not Hoshigumi, we were watching the Hanagumi Grand Theater, Raku footage, and just talking about how Taidan is actually such a fun celebration of the people and their careers and, wishing them off to the next stage of their lives and all this stuff. And so I try not to be too sad because, honestly, it is a really happy, exciting time.
It's always just like, it is really full of love.
It's full of love.
Like, the stuff that you get to do, I mean, I know it's also real hard for their fans, and it's hard to spin it into like a positive experience, but like, I think one of the beautiful things about Takarazuka is like the way that fans get to participate in everything, honestly, but like specifically in the Taidan celebration is so unique to Takarazuka and so beautiful.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, like, what other place other than Takarazuka has such a like insular system where it's like they don't perform anywhere else. They, they're not allowed to do so many things. They have this like very cloistered existence, and so leaving is a big deal. Like, you should make a big deal out of it because it's really stepping outside of this little fishbowl and going out into the big world.
Yeah.
It's true.
But yeah, that phrase in Japanese, jujitsu, like they often say jujitsu sta hi or something, like a day that was very full, like a day that you really seared into your memory, or paid attention to all the details kind of thing, is something that people often say about their last day.
Yeah, it's true. That reminds me, speaking of getting out into the world, anyone want to hazard a guess as to what these two are going to do next?
Benny
tough, right?
should have a cooking show. Calling it early.
Yeah.
She should be one of those manzai comedians. She'd be perfect at it.
She would be hilarious on variety shows.
That seems like 100% her jam.
Or like a talk show.
Yeah.
She could have a talk
like
show or
Jody
something.
Sakiko, who has a talk show.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be so perfect?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what she should
Please
do.
give Benny a Sky Stage talk show.
Please.
Dear
oh
Uncle
man, I
Gods,
would love that.
we are putting our wish out into the universe.
Not that I want Jody to stop either. I love her too. But yeah, you can add Benny's.
That's right.
Benny's talk show.
It's like the Oprah.gif, right? You get a talk show. You get a talk show because like Kai-chan has a thing too on Sky Stage. It's like
oh yeah,
got a
she
thing.
sure does.
Yeah, that was all of our collective happy things this week.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Is Kai-chan
God.
and Shiran having a moment.
Yeah.
We all
I was thinking of her Sky Stage talk show, but yeah, that happened too.
Yeah.
No, this was a collective fandom happy thing. I don't know anyone who didn't enjoy that.
Yeah.
Man.
Anyway, Benny and
That was
Airi.
something. Yeah.
Airi, I mean, gosh, she could be a model. I don't even know, man.
It's tough. Like,
she'll probably do theater. Or TV.
I feel like there was a time when it was more difficult for top Musumeyaku to get work, or not to get work, but at least to get lead roles, you know? Like,
yeah, I agree with you. A lot of top otokoyaku go on to do lead female roles in things, but not a lot of top musumeyaku do.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's changing.
I do feel like it's changing. Like, who was first? Was Fu first or was Miriam first to leave? Fu was first to leave, right?
Yeah.
She's been doing great, and Miriam's been doing great, and Chappie's been doing great.
Yeah.
And I feel like really honestly, 95th class is setting a new standard for what top Musumeyaku can do after retirement. So now I'm not so sure. You know, before I would have said something different, but now I'm like, Airi can do whatever the heck she wants.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to see her break out of that demure Musumeyaku personality.
Me too.
And see what's really there on the inside, you know?
Yeah. My favorite thing with Airi is always her like sexier review scenes or whenever she has like a more aggressive moment in her role, and I also would love to see her do something that is more of that but all the time,
which again is why I'm looking forward to God of Stars so much.
Yeah, me too. Oh, so much. Yeah. I think that comes out soon. I want it. Yeah.
Is there anything else we need to cover about their taiga?
No, I think we had a really Jujutsu-style 1 hour podcast.
We did. I love them. I'm glad we got to record this.
Yeah.
Under the wire before they actually have left. Hopefully we'll get it out under the wire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we love Benny and Airi and wish them the best of luck in whatever they decide to do in the future.
I'll miss them. I love them.
Me too. I'll miss them so much. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Many thanks to Michael B. and the Arcanum String Quartet for their wonderful arrangement of Sumire no Hana Sakugoro. And thank you, listeners, for enjoying our podcast.